Wrightwood, California. It's Sky High Disc Golf. It's the highest rated course, according to DGU, anywhere in Southern California. It's a 27-hole course on the top of a mountain. It's between 7,000 and 8,000 feet elevation, depending on where you are. It's a beautiful course, scenic views all around it, tall pines everywhere. Some really manageable holes, but a lot of elevation change and a lot of challenging wind that can come into play coming over the hilltop. So this is hole 1. It's a 545-foot par 3. I'd like to throw that ape. This is hole 2. It's a 219-foot par 3. You have to hook it to the left around a couple of pine trees. Best thing for me is just to take a gator, put it out there nice and easy down the middle. We're here at hole 3. It's a 252-foot downhill shot. There's a mandatory over here on your right-hand side. You can't take the big hyzer route. Kind of don't want to anyways. Anything deep or to the right on this hole, you got a good chance of not getting your disc back. So you really want to throw a putter here. If anything, I like to throw the XT AVRs and aim it nice and low with the nose down and maybe even slide it up to the basket. You don't want to keep it in the air too long because about 20 feet behind the basket starts a lot of thorny underbrush and it's really easy to lose a disc. So XT AVR. This is hole 4. It's a 338-foot par 3. I like to take a forehand shot with the ape, put it out to the left, have it scoot in. The basket's right behind a big pine tree. You also don't want to end up right because it's kind of like the last hole where if you're down the hill a little bit, there's a lot of thorny stuff and it's kind of hard to find your disc. So if you're going to err on the side of caution, end up left. This is hole 5. It's a 186-foot par 3. There's a Mando over here on your right. Once again, you can't take a hyzer route. You got to kind of squeeze it in a small gap. I like to take an XT AVR, just coast it right down the middle and let it slide in. This is hole 6. It's a 198-foot par 3. It's fairly uphill. It's also behind a cluster of pine trees. I like to take a flat top Firebird and forehand it, put it nice and high. That way it can kind of come in around and dive back in towards the basket. This is hole 7. It's a downhill 295-foot par 3. There's a Mando over on your right-hand side, and you got to get around that. I like to take the Firebird once again and forehand it around the left-hand side, and try not to cut it too tight. You'll risk the Mando or going down the hill. hole 8. It's a 262-foot par 3. I like to take a flat top DX Ching rock, put it right down the middle, and hopefully at this altitude it'll hold straight. We'll see what happens. This is hole 9. It's a 361-foot massive uphill par 3. It's a big shot for most people, even myself. I like to take a really flippy champion turn that's really beat in. The altitude up here will keep it from flipping over and rolling, and it'll usually just hang dead straight for me, so let's see what happens.
Disc golf. I'm one of the people who takes care of the course. Obviously, so we've got a pro shop. It's actually pretty spiffy. We even come with our own personalized disc. We are a 28 basket course. We're definitely a little bit more strenuous than the average course. There is a lot of hiking involved, but it's definitely a very fun place to come check out. Our disc golf course is open all year round. Baskets 1 through 9 will be open yearly, with baskets 10 through 28 will be here when the lodge is open. Even though we might not be here on the weekends, I do seriously recommend coming up. It is free to play probably Tuesday through Thursdays, but Friday through Monday the lodge should be open. Our hours are going to be approximately 8 a.m. until about 4 to 5 p.m. just depending on how many people we have showing up on the course.
This is hole 10. It's a downhill 259-foot shot. This is one of the most beautiful parts of the course right here. I like to take a thumber with a flat top Firebird, put it over to the left-hand side, and just let it fall down. This is hole 11. It's a 546-foot downhill shot. This is your signature shot on the course. It's a beautiful background. You can see all the way down to Victorville. To the left, you can see all the way to Edwards Air Force Base and even beyond. Hundreds of miles. It's a really beautiful shot. And I like to take the Shark 3 out there. As long as there's not too much wind, I'll just hold it straight out to the right and let it fade as it falls downhill. If there's a little more wind, I may go with a driver of some sort, but as long as it's dead, you can throw the Shark.
Chasing danger, feeling immune.
This is hole 12. It's a 283-foot par 3. I like to take my 8 out on the left-hand side with a forehand, let it hug the left to right line, and hopefully come in right at the basket. This is hole 13. It's a 208-foot par 3, straight over a small little canyon. I like to throw my XT AVR putter right at it. here at Wrightwood. This is between hole 13 and 14. They call this the sacrifice hole, or the top of the world hole. As you can see, it goes nowhere. When you throw your disc though, it goes really far.
Holy shit! Damn! It's like a 2,000 yard.
It made no sense living this way.
This is hole 14. It's a 406-foot uphill shot. Gets a little windy on this side of the course. I like to take a boss, pump it out there pretty hard, high up to the right, let it break back at the end.
Your open smile, they're all the while. Your open smile.
We're here at hole 15. This is a 265-foot par 3. Plays a little bit longer than the 265 being uphill, probably plays more like 315. I like to take an ape, nice and easy, put it out over on the right-hand side and just have it die in. This is hole 16. It's a 305-foot par 3. Plays a little longer being uphill. I like to take a boss on a sidearm, put it out there left, have it hug right in.
Figure it out. One day, someday,
This is hole 17. It's 205-foot par 3. I like to take a rock right down that middle gap. You have a little bit of a backstop, so you can afford to gun it a little harder than you may normally.
figure it out. Figure it out.
This is hole 18. It's a 352-foot par 3. Plays much shorter than that, being downhill. It's also a very tight shot. I like to take those DX rocks, put one right down the middle, hopefully have it settle right under the basket.
Figure it out.
This is hole 19. It's a 277-foot par 3. I'm going to take this ape on a forehand, hopefully put it right in the basket. This is hole 20. It's a 283-foot par 3. It's uphill, so it's got a little bit of distance to it. I like to take either an ape or a boss. Today I'm going to choose the boss, and I'll forehand it out to the left and have it die in.
The endless tide.
This is hole 21. It's a 298-foot downhill par 3. Plays a good bit shorter. A lot of people like to throw a putter on it. I prefer to forehand either a Firebird or an Ape, depending on what the wind does, just to make sure it gets down fast enough, because you don't want to float past the basket, otherwise you'll be way down a hill. is hole 22. It's a 217-foot par 3. It's a tricky, tight little shot. You want to hyzer something in around the pine trees, but you've got to make it S a little bit because you have a little sign here on your right-hand side that'll kind of block you. I like to take a Firebird or maybe an Ape, depending on how much cut I want to get to it and depending on the wind. Today I'm going to try to throw the Firebird.
One day maybe I'll figure it out.
This is hole 23. It's a 234-foot uphill shot. You have a Mando over here on your right-hand side. It's the ski lift. It's to protect the next pad. You'll see in a minute. I like to take a TL. It's one of my really flippy discs. I'll use it as a roller sometimes, but I like to flip it up and let it just go nice and straight. Up here with the elevation, it tends not to fade back out much, so this is the disc.
One day, someday I'll figure it out.
Here, hole 24, right at the summit of the mountain. It's a 283-foot par 3 from 8,000 feet elevation. That's a slight uphill shot. I like to throw my Shark 3 out over the right. During the summertime, they take the ski lifts off, so you've got another obstacle to go over with a bunch of ski lifts in front of you, but makes for a fun shot.
Someday I'll figure it out. One day, someday.
This is hole 25. It's a 439-foot downhill shot. It's a pretty risky shot. You've got a lot of room on the right-hand side for you to mess up and go way, way down the hill. Also, there's two pine trees that can kind of come into play on the left-hand side. I like to take a Shark and just let it hug a slow left hug from the right side. There's a little bit of wind today, so we'll see how it works out. This is hole 26. It's a 215-foot par 3, slightly uphill. I like to take the Firebird, throw a thumber at it. It's a pretty simple shot. This is hole 27. It's a 280-foot downhill par 3. I like to throw either a thumber or a forehand, depending on the wind it's going to do. This time I'm going to throw the forehand with a Firebird. This is the bonus hole. It's the practice basket, but we like to tee off from up here, right back down towards the pro shop. It's a fun little shot, really tight, so get lucky if you can.